Welcome back, Simlings. I am super excited to share this build with you. It's actually the first construction that I have made in The Sims 4 since the update with the platforms launched. And I really wanted to build a theater in a way that I have not ever been able to build a theater in the game before. So obviously this uses a lot of movie stuff pack, but this build really is just inspired by theaters that I've seen in real life, theaters near me, as closely as I could bring them all together. So I struggled so much with this build, and I was sort of like, you'll see me jumping back and forth a lot, trying to sort of really just decorate as I went to get a better sense of space. The lots in The Sims are just, especially The Sims 4, are just really small. So to build a theater of the caliber that I wanted 4 of these ginormous theater rooms. I was not able to do that, so I had to settle for 2, which is more than enough for, your Sims game or whatever. I should warn you, this is available on Origin for download, but the version on Origin right now is not playable. I have a really bad habit of not playtesting the builds that I make because I am mostly just a builder. So I very rarely actually play the game. So I had not playtested this build before I put it together and uploaded it. But you can download that off the gallery and mess around with it. I have fixed the restaurant in the basement. You're seeing me head down there to start constructing that now. It is really difficult to build basements with the platform tool because it doesn't want to work properly, and there were just routing issues, and the way that I originally built it that you're going to see in this speed build is, well, it looked really cool, at least in my opinion. You may have a different opinion, but it is what it is. But I could not, for the life of me, ever get the server to come and take the Sims order. They could go to a server and give them their order, an order for the whole family, but that order would never show up. Your Sims would never get to their table. And the only way that they would route to the restroom downstairs or even anywhere near the dining area is they would go through the chef's kitchen. And it just wasn't very realistic. I wanted to stop that routing right there. So I was worried that I wouldn't be able to have the really cool looking platforms that I put downstairs, but I was determined to have them. So I did find a way to make the restaurant functional. It still doesn't look the way that I wanted it to with the platforms, but it still has platforms. So it's still pretty cool. Also, I wanted, you see it on screen now, that sunken little seating area or waiting area I thought was pretty neat. Some theaters back home that I have seen have just like a little area to sit down, and it usually at least one end of it has a feature movie with some like big huge cardboard cutout and characters all over the place, and it's promoting something that's either in theaters or coming to theaters really soon. And I wanted to mimic that. And I wanted to do it in like a little sunken area that you step down into because I thought it could be its own sort of isolated space and people could just walk around it and it would look really neat. And I did not have snowy escape whenever I went to build this. So the little vendor food nook area, you'll have to, if you download the version that I have on the gallery now, you'll want to replace that with vending machines from Snowy Escape. That was my original intent. I'd seen those in a lot of the videos that EA released, and I thought they were really cool, and I was excited to have vending machines. But I wasn't able to put them in the build at the time that I made this. So if you're from America, or especially if you're not from America, you see what I did with the bathroom there, how the doors are just open, and we have those annoying stalls that are not very private because they have like these gaps in them, and if somebody really seriously wanted to, they could kind of peek in on you in the bathroom or tilt their head under the door and still be able to see. Bathrooms in America stink. Public bathrooms are just absolutely terrible. And what I wanted to do to that bathroom, I couldn't actually do. I was trying to mimic how some theaters have like that just open doorway where you just walk straight in without having to open any doors. But normally you have that, and then you go like to the left or to the right down a little bit of a hallway, so you can't actually see the stalls from that open doorway. But yeah, American bathrooms stink. They're just not very private whatsoever. So the theater build, for the theater rooms themselves, I was trying to create like that division that you see when you come down into a theater and you have like one side or the other, and then the middle goes up. And you usually have that awfully ugly carpet. So I used some carpeting with patterns that you normally never use in the game. I finally made use of that in this theater, and I thought it was kind of like the perfect space for that. So I'm trying in this part of the build to put a little display or something more ornate up at the top, just to like break up the fact that I had like that bathroom there, but the whole upper floor was open. I wanted to keep it open, but put something of interest up there. So you just see me trying to come up with weird decorations that maybe fit, maybe don't. Just trying to get an arcade look into the mix of everything, and I'm just like testing out a bunch of different things and figuring out where things should go. So when I started this build out, I put out a bunch of items that I knew I wanted to try to use. I want to eventually go through every single world in the game and update all the lots, or even rebuild and renovate all the lots to include things from other packs and expansions that I've gotten over the years. I finally have everything, by the way, even Journey to Batuu, even though I've never played that. But I want to go through and update things with the new items and packs that I have, just to make the gameplay better, and some of the older areas also. So like things like the waste disposal and all of that. So that's kind of why I put that back there on the theater, because I thought that would be something, a big industrial building or whatever would have. So, public theater, they've got to have some major place to discard things. And I liked the billboards. I almost never use them on a lot because they're so huge, but I thought, it's a theater, maybe they're going to advertise some movies that they have playing or something. So, and I used some of the platforms on the roof to create the flatness, but at different levels, because I thought that might be interesting. And right here you see where the roofing is over top of these little things in the back. I'm just trying to find a way to make that work because I couldn't get the roof to disappear. That was completely unintentional. I didn't even want that back there. I just wanted that little back part raised slightly, but then it put a roof there, so I had to like improvise to create something of interest back there. And I still don't like it, but it's not that bad. I think it turned out okay. So some of the wallpapers and things that I would never use, like I've used that brick wallpaper before in other builds, but the bottom one, that's something I almost never use. And I rarely ever build community lots, but this one in particular is one that I'm actually pretty proud of. But I was trying to specifically use things that I otherwise wouldn't use because I think a lot like this would be a bit more eccentric. So I was trying to create an interesting entrance here. I'm still not sure how I feel about it, to be honest. And I hate that those little flat fences don't come all the way to the actual sidewalk, to the end of your lot. There's just that one tile that you can't even use it. That annoys me so much. But yeah. So I had some glitches in here where the flooring or the ceiling kept wanting to appear between the floors. I don't know how much of that I actually kept in here. Hopefully you didn't see any more of that after that, but you know. So the theater room is not functional. Even the version in my game after I fixed the restaurant, the theaters are still not functional. However, someone on Origin actually commented and said that all they had to do to make it functional was to remove the columns. So there you go. If you download it, try to remove the columns and maybe it'll come together better for you. I might try to use a thinner column there. My Sims can walk into there. I've made them just walk here, but I can't get them to go watch a movie on the big screen with a group of other Sims or whatever. It just, for some reason, they don't want to do that. So I will play test that and see if I have to remove the columns there, and maybe I'll just have to deal with them not being there. So what I'm doing here, these are from the Machino pack, the photography backdrops, and I was just trying to create like an area where maybe it would be the display of some upcoming movie or some movie that's in the theater at the moment, sort of like the feature display. So you can set that to the same backdrop for each one of those two panels, and it actually came out pretty cool. I'll include a screenshot at the end of the video. So this build took me, over the span of about 4 days, took me more than 7 hours to put together in a way that I was happy with. And I tried to condense all of that into about 20 minutes of a speed build. So forgive me if I don't know what to talk about halfway through this, because honestly, I don't know what to talk about halfway through this. But yeah. I think right now I'm just kind of going through, adding some final touches. And we are finally getting down into the restaurant, it looks like. Yes. So you can see the hallway that comes down into the restaurant, and I just wanted that to be like an entrance that comes to a kitchen window, like that special chef's kitchen object. I forget what it's called, but it opens up a window between the walls, so that you could, come down there and buy like gourmet popcorn or pretend that you're buying gourmet popcorn or whatever for your movie watching experience. And I just wanted that little entrance there to be where the greeters notice you come in and they'll seat you and maybe they hang out there or whatever. And you go down that little hallway and around and you're in the dining area. At first, I'm like, well, this is all downstairs in the basement. Let's create this weird hallway of greenery around the outside of it. I tried to make it work so that I could have windows in this bistro, but it was not going to work. I mean, maybe eventually that idea would be okay, but that doesn't stay. That gets removed. So I struggled with the foundation walls underneath where I had sunk the platform pieces down to create more depth. It was hard to find something that I thought matched up with the wallpaper because I used multiple wallpapers. And I knew I wanted to use some of the booths. So I made that little corner there and then tried to add like seating inside. I do eventually expand that because right now you still see that ugly hallway thing outside of there. I think I expanded that so that it would fit more evenly. And I'm just adding some of the objects to make it a functional restaurant. This lot is classified, by the way, as a restaurant, since you can't actually classify it as a movie theater. So it will function as a restaurant. Your Sims can own it and run the restaurant and all of that. I did do a little bit of gameplay before I uploaded it just to set the outfits to match like the sort of red color scheme and to set the menu so that if you didn't want to own it yourself, that you could just download it and go to the restaurant and actually have something to order. Because, I thought that would be convenient. So there, I'm just trying to find something decorative that looks nice in this little area aside from just the neat leveling of the platforms, which I could not keep like that, by the way. Like the yin-yang opposites. I wasn't able to retain that and have the restaurant function. And I created like a outdoor seating area with some books just to keep people entertained if they have to wait for a while. So with all this pandemic stuff going on, part of the reason I wanted to build a movie in a theater was, well, the whole cliche concept of grab a dinner and a movie. But also, it's kind of frightening in a way how much this pandemic might change our lives forever. And the whole experience of just being able to go to the movie theater. A lot of movie theaters have shut down and haven't been showing anything. And luckily, my local theaters have reopened, but there's nothing really coming out in theaters that's all that interesting. They're showing a bunch of like old stuff because a lot of these creators that put the movies together have learned, oh, hey, streaming services, you can just show it on the internet and you make your own money off of it. You don't have to share any revenue at all with these businesses that showcase it. And on top of that, as virtual reality gaming systems like the Oculus get more popularized, you have a virtual theater room that you can just put this headset on and you're in this space all to yourself. And you don't have to deal with random people talking during your movie. And I mean, unless you have a big household, or a lot of interruptions or anything like that. So, I mean, in one way, that's awesome. But in another way, it's kind of like killing theaters. That combined with the pandemic, combined with streaming services. And it really makes me sad because I love going to movie theaters. I love the whole experience, even the annoying parts. So I'm basically trying to create identical bathrooms. I could have just copied the entire room or saved it as a room, but I didn't do that. So I went about it the hard way, putting everything everywhere. But, you know, that's me. I can't just be simple, despite the name SympleSym. So a lot of the imagery that I'm putting everywhere, aside from sometimes in the bathroom where you see that portrait there, I'm trying to do like movie posters and, you know, popular culture looking type things that might actually be found in a restaurant that you would find in a movie theater. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you like the screenshots that follow. Please give me a thumbs up and like and subscribe and comment and all that jazz, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you very much.